Us. Give me a sec. Hello. Happy Easter, everybody. It's Easter Friday, so happy Easter. I hope you have a nice time with your family, etc. Us, Torbjörn, welcome back. You got up an hour earlier before. Yeah. You were here an hour ago, right? But anyway, thanks for coming along. Today I just wanted to go over a few fundamental good approaches to ways to make sure your joints stay healthy. What's Patty? Good to see you. Matius Podlaski. Ostranio. Happy Easter. Good. Happy Easter to you too. Dziękuję. Thanks. Look, just before I came on, I have to say something. I'm really gutted because right now in my life, besides all the damage from the water, I'm going through a few changes that require access to my funds. And when I've got maybe nearly, Dave, welcome. Thanks for coming. And Paul, good to see you. I've got maybe $20,000 in PayPal. And I tried to take it out. I don't know if anyone's ever had any trouble with PayPal, but I tried to take it out and I couldn't take it out. So I got in touch and they said, well, yeah, it's only a book. It's a low issue. But I did have 3 people who asked for refunds. One of the 3 actually said, oh, no, I didn't really want a refund. I just wanted to find out where the book was. And she went ahead and rebought it anyway. So I only had 2 people out of all the orders that I had make a complaint that they didn't get their book, even though I was pointing out to people and sending regular emails. I get a message from let me just read the message from PayPal. You can no longer use PayPal. Following our review, we've permanently limited your account as we've found potential risk associated with it. You can still log in, view your transactions, but you can't conduct any further business. Any money in your PayPal balance will be held for up to 6 months. Can you believe that? I've got $20,000, which I really need right now, under pressure, as we all get. I'm not complaining about the pressure. I'm complaining about access to my own funds. And I don't know what has happened because we had a couple of exchanges where the feedback I was getting from the PayPal people was, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. It's a book is low risk. Some of these built-in mechanisms they have are designed to stop people from ripping people off, selling fake goods like fake phones and things like that. So here I am out of the blue, following the protocols as best I can, sending as much proof as I can that the books have been sent. And I get a message saying that not only can I no longer use PayPal, but they've frozen my money for up to 6 months. So I'm really, really in a bad position. Look, if you used PayPal and if you have received your book, please write them a letter or a note and say, I've received my goods, that the website and Cameron is legit. They seem to think that I'm a risk, that I'm ripping people off. So here we are. What a great way to start, with a whine, moan, and complain about PayPal. I'll never use PayPal again, which is what they want. They said I can't use PayPal, but they're going to keep my money for 6 months to say thank you, whilst they take 7-8% altogether. By the time I repatriate the funds, they take 7 or 8%. It's just Terrible. PayPal is the worst money transactions nowadays. The customer service or lack thereof nowadays is simply deplorable. Well, what can you do though? They lock your money up. I don't know if I've got any legal recourse that I can get my money because I really, really need it. It's terrible. Plus interest, exactly. I mean, I could put, anyway, enough of that. Today, let's look at joint health, longevity, and training. I can only say this now because they have the benefit of 50 years training, and I'm in my 60s. And I've undertaken certain decisions over the years which I think have helped or hindered my joint health. I have one bad joint, that is my right knee, and that's because I did something really, I don't regret it, but probably I went about it in the wrong way. I did, in 2013, every January 1, we do something to celebrate the New Year's. And in this particular year, 2013, I did some stair climbs. And it's a set of stairs, which is 144 stairs, but there are platforms in between some of them. So it's 175 steps to get up to the top. And I did it non-stop for 10 hours. I did 100 repetitions, 1,000 kettlebell swings, 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 squats. That was in 2013 when I was about 54, 55. But pounding down the stairs for 10 hours meant it destroyed my right knee, and I've got torn two meniscus tears, bones, fragments, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that sort of injury is something I really could have prevented. Anyway, Aiden, I'm looking, PayPal will eventually be replaced on eBay by the Dutch company called Aiden. Too many people are having trust issues and problems with them. Yep, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. So anyway, other than that injury, which came from this 10 hours of non-stop repetition, hey, Darren, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming along. Good on you. Thanks for joining us. I've pretty well protected my joints. So, there are 4 somatics. As we know, there are 4 fundamental somatics. There's your speed, your strength, your cardiovascular endurance, and your flexibility. Now, of the 4 of them, flexibility is far more important than the others because it impacts beneficially on the others. If you speed and strength. And if you have a wider range of motion, your cardiovascular endurance is less affected because you're operating within that range, which is less fatiguing to the body. Okay, so as you get older, flexibility becomes particularly important, and especially flexibility in the spine. If you have a look at elderly people who haven't had a habit of physical activity through their life, you'll see that their spine, they bend. Even people who have physical activity in their life, their posture is affected. So posture is fundamentally a factor of spinal flexibility. Okay, now the other things you see is hips and knees replacements. Hip replacements, knee replacements. It just shouldn't happen. And quite often it's a factor of, high levels of training. There's no doubt about that. And the body, of course, it's a treacherous friend. So it gets up and goes when it wants to. Doesn't matter how hard or how consistently you work. Now, having said that, we need to protect our joints. So today I want to look at Matus did also train with Tatsuo Yamada, pupil of Motopu Choki. He may have. If he did, he didn't necessarily write too much about it in English. I haven't gone through all his Japanese works, but I didn't find anything in large terms about it. So if he did, he may have. Look, also I train with all kinds of people, but whether he actually spoke about it at length or whether he actually took away from them a lot of wisdom. I've trained with an awful lot of people, and when I write my book or when I write about it, I give thanks to the people I've trained with, but quite a few of them I don't get round to mentioning individually because there's only so many people you can thank in one breath. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about ways to protect your hip joints and your knee joints, and show you some stretching, some really simple stretching approaches. Kyokushin has this beautiful warm-up. And as Oishi Shihan points out, hey, Rob, good to see you. As Oishi Shihan points out, the full Kyokushin pre-training warm-up stretches everything from the bottom of your feet, and it really does stretches everything from the bottom of the feet all the way to the top of the head with the neck. So it really is a complete workout, and you can take it as far as you want. If you've got more and more flexibility, then you can push it more and more. But that's not necessarily time efficient. You may only have a couple of minutes or a few minutes, and it's not necessarily the best thing for you to do daily routine. So the first and foremost thing that we need to remember is that the most important thing about looking after your joints and health is to move every day. And I've often said I have a little app on my computer which is called Timeout. It's a free app. And what you can do is you can set it to any time for any length. And I have it set so every hour it blanks my screen out. You can override it if you want to, but every hour it blanks a screen out for, every 20 minutes it blanks a screen out for one 30-second period. And in that 30-second period, I'll often just take a breath and do a meditation breath, or I'll just do a nice spinal stretch, because when you're sitting in front of a mirror, in front of a computer, I said mirror because I'm looking at my reflection on the screen. Urs Craig from Brazil, tudo bem? How are you? You know, and every hour, so every 20 minutes, it pauses for 30 seconds. Every hour, it pauses for 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, I'll get up, walk around, stretch. I'll do some bends, and and I'll change my focal length. That's an important thing too. When your focal length sticks to the same length all the time, important thing too. When your focal length sticks to the same length all the time, sometimes I'll just look up and you just change your focal length or close your eyes, and that will help your vision too. So the important thing to remember is what we're doing is we're really looking for the opportunity to spend even just a minute or two every day. I'm just hanging some notes here. Go-to fundamental training is based on breath, and my go-to fundamental daily training, above all else, if I get nothing else done, if I don't go to the dojo, is one Sanshin and one Tensho. That's it. Now, that's really, really good, and especially if you deliberately open up the movements to work your stretching, big movements. But other than that, it won't stretch you that much. It'll stretch your spine and back a little bit. So you need a little bit more than that. So all you can do is just 1 or 2 minutes of stretching. Really, that's miles and miles and miles ahead of the average person. You think about that. If you can, so what we need to do then is look at ways where we can do it. Now, one of the easiest ways to, and spine, by spine I also mean neck. I've had a few neck injuries from wrestling where I get stingers and the neck gets whacked and bang, that sort of thing. I'm just looking for a chair. If one of the best things you can do is just sit on a chair and just lean forward and let your neck flop. Just lean forward and let your neck flop. But I try not to use tools. I try to do things in a way that allow me to stretch without tools. Having said that, these tools are fantastic. This is Locker Room Protection and Invention and Prevention Stretch Band. LockerRoomSports.com. I'm not getting any promotion for it. This was actually a gift to me from Mitch Kachonda. But anyway, that's a good little stretching mechanism, and that'll help you to increase your stretching. The other thing that you can do is these little foam blocks, which I think this one cost $2.95, $2.80 it was at the Daiso shop. And these will help you, for example, to elevate your butt at times when you need to. So I'm just going to quickly play with these and show you what I do. So one of the first things you can do in the morning is simply just let your head flop. Just like that. Then the next thing we have to do is we need to be able to sit cross-legged without falling back. If you're falling back, it's because of lower back flexibility. So if you can sit there like that and then flop, that will stretch all through the legs, all through the spine. Now, if you can't do that, that's where these little blocks come in handy. You simply sit on the block, like that. Now you should be able to lean forward and then just let yourself fall forward to a limit that is comfortable. And that's a really good way to start to open up the spine. Okay? Now, for moving flexibility, and I'm just looking at ways to deal with 1 or 2 minutes in the morning. So here, what you can do is, we've done it before, the greet the sun exercise. You don't have to be a super flexible yogi to make this work. But let me run through it for you. So, it's all coordinated with breath. And I'll get back to the breath bit in a sec. But this is a really, and I'm going to do it in a way that doesn't, it doesn't require excessive flexibility. But this exercise, if you repeat it, you can just do it 2 or 3 times in the morning. That'll take you a couple of minutes. There's your entire flexibility workout sorted out in one exercise, if that's all you have time for. Of course, you keep extending if you have more and more time. So, feet are together. I stretch up as though I'm being pulled up, so that opens the spine. I breathe in, and I breathe out. Now, if this is all you can reach, that's fine. If you can get down, that's fine. You just hang. And then there, what you can do is bend your knees if you have to. And then look up and breathe in. Now I'm putting my hands down, stepping back, push-up position. I go down and breathe out. Roll my toes, breathe in. Now notice here, I don't want to crunch my shoulders up like that. I pull my shoulders back and breathe in. Now I turn my toes and breathe out. Now you can hold this position for a few breaths. If you relax, this is really good for the neck because it lets your neck dangle. You see how my neck just hangs there. And the next trick is don't be like this. What you want to do is lengthen the distance from your hand to your hips. So as far as possible, you keep pushing back. Roll the elbows in and push back. And just hold it there. Now, if you're not strong enough to do that, or if you have an injury, there is no reason why you can't put your knees on the ground. See that? You can do it like that. That's also perfectly acceptable. And then when you're ready, you breathe in, work your way up, and breathe out. Now, if you get your hands on the ground, like I said, that's great. If you can't, don't panic. So if you can't get your hands on the ground, breathe in here, and then breathe out, and you'll end up doing that. And you keep working on it. And then breathe in, and breathe out. How long did that take? About a minute. You just do one of those, it's fantastic. You do 2, it's even better. You do 3, it's as good as it gets. For someone who is a little older and not used to training, or you are used to training but you're getting older, you want to protect your joints, this is a really good simple stretch. Breathe in. I'll go through it quickly. Breathe out.
Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold. Hold the position, not your breath. Just breathe in and out naturally. Roll your shoulders in. Keep taking your head towards your shins. Let your neck dangle. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. There you go. So that's a really good little stretch to do in the morning. If you wake up, you do one Sanshin. You do one Tensho. Whoops. One Tensho. And then you do that exercise. That will literally take you less than 5 minutes. And by doing that consistently every day, it'll change your life. I went to one of my buddies' 80th birthday the other day. His name's Rob Wall. In fact, is Rob here? I think I might have seen his name. Now, Rob's 80 years old, right? Just celebrated 80 years old. You think about that. How many people do you know that are 80 and he still trains? He was training when I was a young... Oh, there he is. There you go. Look, Rob's just left a message. Most days, 45 minutes bike ride, some stretches, some kata, swear at my dog, more kata, followed by 50, 60 minutes. Well, it's good to be retired. If I could do that, I would, but I can't, so I don't. But yeah, you need to work in your lower spine and your posture, just looking at that video you sent. But I've got to say to Rob Wall there, and congratulations and happy birthday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Happy birthday, happy 80th, Rob. Now, Rob, for an 80-year-old, you stand Rob next to any 80-year-old in the world, and I guarantee he looks 10, 15 years younger. And his son, Charles, look up Charles too. If you guys like reggae-style music, Charles performs under the name of Bobby Arlou. Check him out. He sang at my wedding. But anyway, Charles was telling me he went for a bike ride with Rob, and he's going, my God, I could hardly keep up with him. All right, now that is, and I hope I'm not embarrassing Rob. He's 80 years old, but I know he trains regularly. But all I'm saying is it's a testimony to regular small doses and effort, okay? And all it takes is just committing to a few minutes every day. Okay, now having said that, I'm going to go through a few more exercises, which you'll be familiar with, to show you these things. When you stretch, I have an acronym called grab a stretch. Okay, I'm big on acronyms, as you know. So the G equals gravity. It can also equal gaze, because if you're stretching and looking around and being a dill, you can pull a muscle. So G equals gravity. A, and by gravity I mean the best stretching you can do is just let gravity do the work for you. Just let gravity do everything. When you're stretching, you'll see later. Let gravity do it for you. A equals angle or alignment. And what I mean by that is when you're stretching in a certain way, you don't want to be twisting, for example, the foot in the wrong way, because taking it to the limit of its range of motion can cause an injury if the alignment of the technique is not right. Okay, A equals alignment. I'm sorry, let me do R first. R equals relaxation. So you've got to relax into the technique, otherwise it won't work. A equals angle and alignment, and B equals the breath. Okay, so grab a stretch. Let gravity do the work. Relax into it. Make sure your joints are aligned correctly, and coordinate it with your breath. Grab a stretch. It's that simple. Okay. When you're dealing with longevity, you can't. The whole system is holistic. You can't deny one area and expect all the other areas to be okay. So you can't spend your life being a raging, party-going alcoholic and expect that everything's going to turn out because you
you do some training. You got to respect the body. You know, the amazing thing about the human body is the miracle of whatever you eat within 24 hours, it's turned into a human body. You think about it, you put food in your mouth, within 24 hours, what it doesn't use, it gets rid of, the rest it turns into a human body. That is just mind-blowing to me. So it means you have to be very, very conscious of what you eat, particularly as you get older. You know, and you've got to look at good alkaline foods that keep your blood alkaline, things like celery, watermelon, broccoli, root foods like onions and carrots, potatoes, citrus fruits like oranges and mandarins. These are all very alkalizing foods, very healthy. One thing you won't find on a list of alkalizing foods is meat. So as you get older, it doesn't hurt to cut back on your meat consumption. I don't want to go into it too much because one man's meat's another man's poison. I personally haven't eaten red meat for most of my life, since I was a teenager, but I do eat white meat. I started eating chicken again when my kids were born so I could cook them food a lot easier. And my daughter's a vegetarian, my son's not. He eats what final and longevity health. It's not just physical, it's also mental, it's also spiritual, it's also technical. You've got to get the technique right. Okay, now let me just run through a simple routine that you can use to, that's really interesting, Paul. Ballerinas, you know, their alignment is really, really good. Having said that, I've never spoken to a ballerina, so I could be in trouble here with what I'm teaching, but yeah, alignment is vital. So let me run through a few exercises as I tend to do them. Okay, so one of the first things you can do is just loosen off. I put that down deliberately because I'm going to be doing a bit on the ground. Let me put it up just a fraction. So one of the things you can do is just loosen off and just do low mai kyages. Just swing some mai kyages. And that'll help loosen up the face here. You can do a few of those, and then you loosen off, and then we just do a little routine. Squatting. You'll notice if you squat down, depending on the flexibility in your lower back and ankles, your feet will turn out. So right now, you see my feet are parallel, okay? If I squat down, squat. If I want to go all the way down, look, my feet start to turn out. That happens more and more and more depending on how tight your lower back is. So you want to try and keep the feet as parallel as you can as you squat down. Stretch your lower back just like this. Just sit there. Squat. This is why Asians in general have much better lower back and body flexibility, because they actually go to the toilet like this too. Okay? So it's quite natural. And then just come up, dangle the arms. Dangle the neck, dangle the arms. You do that a couple of times. Squatting down, squatting up. Good. Then you can widen your feet, not too wide. And then just squat down. Now, this is good if you're a little old to have a bench to hang on to. But you just find your point of balance and you do your best to keep your heels on the ground. Now, this is where the idea of letting gravity do the work makes so much sense. I'm just going to sit here, and all I do is I deliberately try to relax everything so that gravity can do the stretch. Then I push forward, so I work my hip flexor. One of the reasons people have, I think they have the hip replacement and so on, is an imbalance in the muscles around the hip, and particularly the hip flexor. The hip flexor is limited. If you want to preserve your hip joint, preserve the angle, your throw techniques, and always improve your hip flexor stretch. That will help to keep your joint youthful. Push it like that. This is the joint, not the front leg. The front leg is just there for support. This is the joint you're stretching. And then you come around and once again, find your balance point and just let gravity
do the work. You just sit here. Try to get gravity, do the work. First thing is to keep the heels on the ground. Then if you keep the heels on the ground, get the calf muscle on the ground. Then if you can get the calf muscle on the ground, you put the hammy on the ground. There like that, and you just sit there. And then switch sides again. Find your balance point, arm inside your leg. Nice and relaxed. Nice and relaxed. Now, when I grew up in Kyokushin, we go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't do that anymore. That's okay if you're young and fit, but I don't do it because I don't necessarily think it's particularly good. Not a bad exercise, but I tend to think that it's very hard to control the forces on the joints when you're moving that quickly. So I've slowed that three-step stretching down in the way that I'm doing it now. I just pause and let gravity do the work. Stretching the lower back, stretching the legs, ankles especially. Ankle flexibility is very important in karate. Hip flexor, push forward there. You don't have to have your knee on the ground, but as you get older, of course, it's good to have that stability. And then right around again, all the way to the ground. You can see because of my knee, I don't have the same level of flexibility in this knee because of that accident, so I can't get my hammy on the ground as easily. Now you just do a couple of those, and then you come up into Shiko Dutch. You can go Kiba if you're young and strong, but that puts excessive pressure on the knees, particularly when you do Kiba incorrectly. So you turn the angle out because that aligns the joints of the leg. And from there, this turning your shoulder in is actually stretching your spine. The whole idea of this is to open and stretch your spine. So you turn your shoulder. Notice I don't let my knee collapse. Push my knee out, turn my shoulder. Breathe in, breathe out, turn the other shoulder. This is a fantastic spinal stretch. Really good. Rob Hall, you could probably do a bit of this. Spend a bit of time on it to help stretch, to keep your spine supple. And then both arms down. I don't want my butt to be up, my head to be down. I want my butt to be down and my head up. Nice, and just let gravity do the work. Grab a stretch. Gravity. Relax. Align everything and coordinate with your breath. From there, you can do Shiko Bumi, just these stretches, but that may not be practical if you're not used to it and you're a little older, so you do it with something to lean on. If you've got a balance beam or something like that, you can do the technique like that. Okay, now on the floor, doing exercises on the floor. Once again, this isn't for the hyper flexible. If you're super flexible, good on you, but that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at long-term joint protection. So whenever you're stretching, you always have to be conscious of the ankles. A good way to wreck the knee, and this is one way I think a lot of people have damaged their knees, is if I do this stretch like this, and I put the foot here, and you see the ankle, how I'm pulling the ankle around. That will, as sure as summer follows winter, that will really do long-term damage to your knee. So alignment here is making sure the ankle is always in a line like that. Don't twist it like that. When you twist it like that, it puts excessive pressure on the outside of the knee. Always keep the ankle straight. So if you're going to do that exercise, keep the ankle flexed at 90 degrees, and you can do that all day, and your knee will be protected. Okay? That sort of thing. When your legs are straight, if you can't reach your toes, that's where these belts come in really handy. All you do is you just simply wrap the belt around your toes, then you hold it that way, and you work on your good posture. Now the B part of the grab acronym is the breath. So what you can do here, what I like to do is actually, as I breathe in, I move forward a little bit. Breathe in, and then when I breathe out, just relax into it. Then I can stay there a few breaths. Breathe in and breathe out, like that. If you don't have the flexibility, these belts are really fantastic. If you do have the flexibility, you can hold your toes like a trigger. Bang, bang. Watch. See, I just wrap my 2 fingers around my big toe. See that? And then hold it like that. I hold it there and then breathe in and just relax and go forward. Bring your feet in. If you have to lean back, that's where these blocks come in. Sit on the block, and now you'll be amazed what a difference it makes for your ability to do these stretches. Once again, you need to be careful here. You may align the ankle so you don't hurt your knees. Okay, and you can just sit there. Just let it flop. Some people have natural flexibility here. Just let it flop forward. Everything's got that wet, musty smell. The whole area was inundated with water and it just rushed through and a lot of damage. I haven't fixed everything up yet, but I picked the mats up and cleaned them up and dried them off. But everything still smells musty. I lost a lot of product, a lot of gis and everything got affected. I thought they were safe above, but the water was pretty deep and it rushed through. And once it gets into the lower level material, it just gets sucked up. So everything smells musty. Good. Okay, now when you're going to this stretch, the first thing you need to be able to do is get off your coccyx. So if my lower back is tight, see from the back there, I'm doing this and I've got to sit there. So I'm on my coccyx. What you need to do is work forward. So you're off the coccyx, and that's the first step. Now, if you can't get off your coccyx, once again, the blocks are really good. You sit on the block, and that will bring forward. See, and that'll allow you, even if you're a little bit tighter than normal, that will allow you to come forward, and that'll improve your stretching. But otherwise, the first step, step 1, get off the coccyx. Step 2, get on the hip bone and sit forward with good posture. Step 3, you just want to let gravity do the work. So once again, what I'll do is I call it spider fingers. If I want to move forward, you go, of course you can do sideways. This is really good stretch. You just hold it there and let gravity do the work. Just sit there. Every time you breathe in, pull down a little bit, breathe out, relax. You let gravity do the work when you relax. If you're tense, gravity can't do anything. You're fighting against your own flexibility. Just relax. 1 hand, 2 hand is all good. If you can only reach to here, that's fine. Get to there, work all the way down. We get to there, and then you can even bring the hand over the top and hold with that hand on the leg and work your flexibility that way. But we're talking about longevity and over 40s and 50s and 60s, so don't worry about that if you can't do it. It doesn't matter. The important thing is do a little bit every day. Sanjin Tencho and a few minutes stretching. You can't beat it. You go this way once again. I'm just going to align everything. Notice when I do it, I don't let my leg fall in. I keep the alignment correct. There like that. Dancers will point their toes. You can do that too. Definitely nothing wrong with that. And then when you go forward, you just use spider fingers. So if you watch my fingers, when I go forward, I'm cutting everything short here, just to show you. But when I go forward, I spider fingers and breathe in. So I breathe in, spider fingers, breathe out, and just you let gravity do the work. Breathe in, The goal is to get your forehead on the ground. Once you get your forehead on the ground, then you get your chin on the ground. Once you get your chin on the ground, then you get your chest on the ground. Once you get your chest on the ground, then you get your belly button on the ground. For some people, that's a lot easier because they've worked very hard to develop that belly button. Okay, so you get your forehead on the ground, then your chin on the ground, then the chest, then the belly button, and you work it like that. Shihan Hanshi, who's the head of the Soa Kyokushin, was one of Sosai's top living students. He's 70, and he still does full flexibility and everything like that. But you don't have to worry about that. And what you can do is, if you have the time and you maybe you're doing a little bit of reading, you just sit here for 5 minutes and read what you're reading, or watch something on the internet or whatever. And you just sit there, and the more time you're able to spend here, the better. You'll never get problems with spending a long time stretching, provided you don't tear a muscle by doing crazy things. You just want to coordinate it with your breath. Like that. Every time you breathe in, spider finger out. Every time you breathe out, relax down. That's all you do. There. Shake it off. And there you have it. There's just a little routine that takes next to no time that you can do to maintain the flexibility. Now, joint health, we have a couple of drills. I have one which I've done with you, I know. We call it the stomp. I wanted to have a meeting with the translators. Oh, Sal, I missed a lot of messages by the looks of it. Nicole Pinos is making a translation to a plant-based diet good for a teenager. Well, their body is growing, Nicole. This is just my opinion. So introduce as big a range of foods as possible. One of the things that surprises me is how many kids grow up not liking this or not liking that. And the only thing you can say is the parents didn't encourage them to eat wide range of foods. Both my kids, I'm happy to say, have no problem eating anything, even though my daughter's choice in her 20s is to be a vegetarian. She didn't do it because she had to. She did it because she wanted to. So, Nicole, in terms of kids, my thought is that you need to provide them with sufficient nutrition, not just by arguing, like vegetarians argue, well, you can get all the protein and B vitamins and everything you need through a vegetarian diet. Well, that may be the case, but it's really hard for kids especially. So you don't want kids to grow up with this attitude that, one, they're a little bit different to everybody, and two, sometimes they go, oh, I'm a vegetarian, that whole thing, you know. But definitely as wide a range of plant-based nutrition as possible, because it's in the plants that we find our micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals that we need are in fruits and veggies plentifully. Now, having said that, I brought my kids up predominantly with fish and chicken. I added chicken. Before my kids were born, I just ate fish. And then I added chicken so that I could cook them easily. That's the other thing. Of course, you're a parent. If you've got kids, you don't want to have to spend hours and hours in the kitchen trying to work out how you can make sure you get the nutrition through a fundamentally plant-based diet. I mean, if that's your thing, go knock yourself out. But if your primary thing is a good, healthy diet to make sure that the children's nutrition is wholesome and full, well then just give them as wide a range of colors as possible. That's the trick. As wide a range of colors as you can. You get the reds of the bell peppers, the capsicums and the bell peppers, and the orange of the carrot, and the greens of kale and spinach, and sea grasses, nori and kombu, all these Japanese sea grasses and everything. Really, really important. Yes, and we haven't had sugar in our house. My kids, we always had a little brown sugar, which brown sugar is the first. It goes the pure molasses, brown sugar, raw sugar, white sugar.
And we had nothing but brown sugar or molasses actually in the house whilst the kids grew up. But predominantly, as Vinny says, because Vinny came and stayed with us, just honey. We only have honey in the house now. So anyway, here we go. Us from Hong Kong. Hey, Vinny, yeah, just saw that. Yeah, so Nicole, you just, the important thing is, as a parent, you're under time pressure all the time. I recognize that. So you have to be able to create healthy, enjoyable meals. You don't want to just taste it and smell it. You want to look at it too, so it's exciting. Salads are so easy. Just whip up salads all the time, and you chop up things like seaweeds. You get the Japanese seaweeds are so good and so alkalizing. Watermelon, alkalizing. Citrus fruit, really alkalizing. Root foods like carrots and turnips. I never liked turnips. They're a little bit strong for me. But carrots, potatoes, that sort of beetroot, all alkalizing food. But anyway, if your blood is alkaline, you're never going to get sick. It's that easy. The first thing that happens in the body before you get sick is the blood gets a level of acidity in it. Al, Leo, good to see you. Vinny, Al, my belly button is already, yeah, I know your belly button's on the ground. Alan trades with us. Paul, how much, if any, meat you consume depends on your blood type. I know that's very big of the Japanese. They write into the blood, the blood types. But once again, I think, how much time have you got to worry about that sort of thing? When I grew up, the whole blood type thing really wasn't a thing. I think more important is looking at the structure of the human digestive system, and it is not a meat-eating digestive system. It is a herbivore's, well, actually it's closer to a fruitarian, but it's a herbivore. A herbivore actually will eat all fruits, all vegetables, and we have the molars. We have a long intestinal tract, which is 4 to 5 times the length of our body. Now, the length of our body is not from top to toe. It's from mouth to where it comes out in your backside. That's what you measure the length of the intestinal tract to. And meat eaters have a very short intestinal tract, just 1 or 2 times the length of that distance between mouth and bum. But humans have 5 to 6 times, which is in alignment with herbivores, which means they're nut eaters. They eat nuts, they eat fruits, they eat legumes, they eat vegetables. Even the Bible's, not that I'm a Christian proselytizer, but even the Bible says, the fruit of the tree and the nuts and of the ground will be your meat. I've known plenty of people who've never eaten meat and they're very, very healthy, but it's culturally relative too. So personally, I don't know that anyone anywhere needs a lot of meat. Maybe if you want to eat red meat once or twice a week is all you need to cover the iron and the B12. But I haven't eaten red meat for more than 40 years, and I haven't felt like I've missed it. I know that you can argue that you have the Maasai tribesmen who live on goat's milk and cow's blood, or you have the Inuits who live on whale blubber, and that's very, very culturally specific. Okay, and like Vinny says there, raw honey, not honey you buy in the supermarket that's been filtered and add-ons. Raw honey straight from the beehives. Yeah, it's one of the most powerfully nutritious things you can have. I even get up and I only have honey in my tea or coffee. I'll get up and I'll even have a warm cup of water with honey in it. Very, very purifying. Marco, good push. Daniel, good. Lower back stretches. Like I said, just sit and flop. So, Daniel, I'll go through these messages quickly. O type can tolerate much more acid and can eat much more meat than other types, so I'm told. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're O type, great, but if you're not, that doesn't help. My opinion is that rather than look at blood types, let's just look at what is common amongst all of us, and that is our nutritional system, the length of our digestive tract, the shape, the type of teeth we have. We don't have incisor canines. We have grinding molars that are designed to grind nuts and grind vegetables and things like that. Broccoli, cauliflower, definitely, Vinny. Broccoli is one of the best alkalizing foods you can get. Celery, broccoli, bananas. Bananas are good, especially if you're training hard, because you get that magnesium and phosphorus and everything. Very highly nutritious, but also very alkalizing. I tend to eat, I eat dates. I eat dates and I eat figs. But other than that, I mainly eat watermelon, oranges, mandarins, and bananas. I don't eat a lot of the other fruits and stuff. Look, yeah, they say we're omnivores, but I don't know that omnivores cuts it. I think that's something that's been made up. There's not a lot of organisms in the animal world who are omnivores. The strongest, biggest animals are all herbivores: elephants, gorillas, monkeys. Even though chimpanzees have been known to drink blood and eat organs, that's, from what they're saying, is a socialization thing. It's when they go marauding and they kill enemies and they get them like that. Hi, Mike, by the way. Didn't realize you. We've turned ourselves into omnivores, but our digestive system and the shape of it is that of a herbivore. And like you said, yep, balance is key. Balance is everything. Balance is everything. I've never drunk alcohol in my life, but thank you, Lotte. I'm the teenager. I'm the teenager. It's something I've been thinking of since I want to start getting into Kyokushin. Good on you, Nicole. Look, I became a vegetarian at 19, and then I very rapidly went back to eating fish, simply because I was living on Thursday Island, so I had no access to healthy fruit and veggies. But if you have a healthy diet, and this session wasn't meant to be about diet, it was meant to be about joint preservation. But it's worth looking into good dietary approaches. The human system is a herbivore system, even though we've become omnivores. We eat everything. Generally speaking, we're definitely not carnivores, and I've known lots of people who are they eat plus years, and I don't have an iron deficiency. Yeah, it is hard to replace, but there's ways to do it. Pure raw honey is excellent. Sugars. The problem with sugars is fructose and sucrose. Sucrose is the big killer. Nothing wrong with glucose, I don't think. Freeze, I don't know. Torbjörn, I haven't found much evidence to suggest that snap frozen food is any less nutritional in the long term. Obviously, the fresher the better. If you can pick something out of the ground, wash it off and eat it right there, or pick the fruit off the tree, or take the watermelon off the vine, or avocado is another really brilliant alkalizing food. Take the avocado off the tree. We used to have mango trees in the backyard. We go out and we had a little rig. We pull those and swim by the pool and have the mangoes right there and then. Couldn't beat it. Breaking up. Yep, I think you're right. Look, at the end of the day, balance. For me, a balanced diet is a diet that suits your own constitution. Any diet, the best diet, like Yogananda, the yoga master, said, the best diet is any diet that suits your own constitution. If you constitutionally are drawn towards eating a certain amount of meat and you try to be a vegetarian, it's just not going to work. Okay, but some diets just suit no constitutions. So anyway, and plenty of water. Look, I'm just going to finish off. Daniel asked, what's good lower back stretches? Well, I've done some there. Anything where you just relax and let your back stretch. Also, when you're starting your warm-up, it doesn't hurt to roll like this
you're going, you just embrace, just roll like that. That sort of leg, I stomp, and then I turn, and I consciously turn to protect the joints. It's when you go from here and you kick and you get with it because you're reasonably flexible, but every time you do that, you're putting pressure on the knee is doing this, the hip's doing that. So instead you go stomp, turn. You turn the kick, and then when you kick, you have zero negative pressure impact on the joints. So the drill is, it's 6 steps, stomp 1, turn 2, tuck 3, kick 4, step 5, rotate 6. Goes from North Queensland areas. You know, there are over 600 mango species, but some of the best come from 2 other processes. That's the biggest excuse I've ever heard about. That's the biggest excuse I've ever heard about balding, but it's a pretty good one. The intake is integration of synapse growth. I think that's really important, Nicole, is just eat well and remember that the most important thing for a teenage body is to make sure you get sufficient nutrition in every area. So there's macronutrition, micronutrition, and what I call nanonutrition. That you never heard that word, I just made it up. Well, I use that phrase. So macronutrients are sufficient fats, fatty acids, carbohydrate, healthy carbohydrate, not the wrong carbohydrates, not sugars and cakes, but fruits and veggies, and protein. They're your macronutrients. Your micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals that you need. And what I call the nanonutrients are the non-nutritional nutrients. So fresh air, fresh water, you need sufficient of those, even on those being present. So yeah, get as much of those as you can, Nicole. Good on you, Dave. See you tomorrow morning. Yep, tomorrow morning, all the Kyokushin, Gold Coast Kyokushin lads, we've got the 8 a.m. session at Southport. Mangoes, man. Mangoes are the #1 food. And there is, from an atomic level, different foods vibrate at different rates. That just makes sense because everything vibrates. All matter vibrates at different rates. Some food vibrates at a much grosser rate than others. And I just noticed Marco went, mangoes, yum. Mangoes have the highest, purest vibrational rate. The lowest vibrational rate, the grossest vibrational rate of any food that man eats is pork. So you can leave, I'll leave the rest of it to you. Okay, thanks for today, everybody. Has it frozen? I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize it's cutting in and out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Rob, lost signal. Sorry about that. I didn't realize. I'm talking away. Good on you, Nicole. Keep up the good work. Thanks, everybody. See you next Friday. I hope you have a wonderful Easter. Relax a little bit. Yep, there you go. It's a frequency resonance thing. You're 100% right. And every food has a hierarchy. Its vibratory rate, its resonance has a hierarchy. And at the very top is mangoes. At the very bottom is pork. Everything else is somewhere in between. And different foods vibrate different things. So, for example, there's a lot of Ayurvedic teaching that says if you eat bananas, it'll help you to be humble. Things like that, But anyway, thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much, Us. Thank you for coming along. Patreon crowd, I love you very much. I'm really going to push that because I need to improve that. Not only what I give to you, but also increase the numbers. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It really helps. And if you are, please put the word out. It makes such a difference. I need to get all this right. And if you have anything to do with PayPal, or if you bought a book through PayPal, get in touch with them and tell them to give me my money. Thanks, guys. See ya. Good on you, Craig.